Hey guys, it's Vince and Drew with Power 5 Fanatics, and we're heading into week 3, Drew. And we got,
I guess it's week 3. I guess it's kind of hard to keep up with.
Yeah, it's so strange this year. And we found 5 great games that we picked against the spread. And overall, the games are, I would say, better this week, just because there's more of them.
Yeah, the Big 12 doesn't have many games, but thankfully a couple of the games got pushed back to this week, so we're at least getting to watch some Power
and there's
5.
just a whole lot more to watch this week than last week too. There's probably, I don't know, maybe 10 more games than there was last week. But it's been such a weird year because we actually care about teams like Georgia Southern and Austin P and some of these other schools that you would normally really not pay much attention to. This year, because of the lack of
high quality games.
Or football period.
Which, by the way, the Big Ten is coming back, and it looks like the Pac-12 might be coming back too. So
but that's a little over a month away, or about at least a month away. Anyways, we're going to start off, Drew. First game, we got Syracuse at Pitt. Pitt is giving 21.5 in this game, which is a lot of points. Both teams have played a game so far. Syracuse losing to North Carolina last week.
That's what it was.
And Pitt,
they beat Austin P.
They beat
55-0.
Speaking of Austin P.
Pitt's looking pretty good.
Yeah, Pitt is looking very good this year. The problem I got with Syracuse, I thought they would put up a better fight against North Carolina. I know North Carolina, may turn out to be the second or third best team in the ACC this year. They could. I think the jury's still out on that because I think overall the ACC is probably better this year than last year.
Especially with having Notre Dame to factor into that.
But anyways, that being said, I was disappointed with Syracuse's offense against North Carolina. They
didn't look good.
They struggled the entire day, and they kind of hung in there for a while, and then it just got away from them in the second half against North Carolina. And it was really just no production on the offense. And I think this is going to continue this week at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh I know they played Austin P, but, when you play anybody and you beat them as bad as they did and the other team scores 0, I just think it's going to be really hard for Syracuse to move the ball again. That's why we are taking Pitt, given the 21.5, which is a lot of points, but we like the Panthers in this game. Moving on, Boston College at Duke. This is an exciting ACC game. I think mainly because Duke, I thought they looked pretty good.
Yeah, they
against
definitely put up a fight against Notre Dame. And the thing with this game is Boston College has not played yet. And one thing we've seen, at least through the first part of what we've seen in college football, is the teams that haven't played yet. And Navy really put this on display where they hadn't even hit yet. So we're seeing how the rust on some of these teams is really bad.
I think it's a little bit of a disadvantage against the teams that have played. That happened actually against Texas Tech last week. I don't know if that was actually it or not, but they barely beat Houston Baptist. Houston Baptist had played. I think it does factor in a little bit.
I definitely think it does.
Early in the season.
And we like this game because Duke did show some life against Notre Dame. They really held their own.
I thought they did.
And
I was impressed with them, and I think they will cover the 5.5 points against Boston College. In fact, I think they're going to beat Boston College pretty good
maybe by like 10 points or something,
maybe even like
31-21, something like that.
I think 2 or 3 touchdowns is possible. I think they're really going to put it on them. Moving on, staying in the ACC, at least one of the teams, Citadel at Clemson. This was a little hard to pick for us, but we just had to put.
We're trying to get to 5 games, and this was one.
And it's just the more we thought about it, we just have to take Clemson minus 45.5. And I know that's a pile of points, but as long as something crazy doesn't happen, Drew, I'm talking about interception returns, punt returns, kickoff returns, mainly special teams. I don't think Citadel can score 1 point against Clemson. They got crushed last week. Citadel did against
USF. I think it was 27-6.
No, it was South Florida. You're right. And they basically had nothing on offense. I don't even know how they scored 6 points. I can't conceive any way in the world they can even. The game's going to be over with at halftime, and they may be covering at halftime.
Well,
so,
and if you look at Clemson's their wins over the spread, over the past couple of years, I mean they were on a streak before last week, 13 games in a row where they had covered. So they're kind of one of those teams where you hear the old adage, good teams win, but great teams cover. And I think they can probably name the score here. I mean, I could see it being something like 56-0.
Since there's less games this year overall, I mean, we're talking there's going to be 11 games for Clemson. That's assuming they get into the ACC championship, which they should. It's even more imperative that you have to score style points,
right?
And because there could be 4 or 5 teams that are undefeated at the end of the year. There could be. And so you're going to get in then, well, how did they look against so-and-so? And I don't think they're going to hold back with anything. I do think, obviously, they're going to have the backups in at some point in the second half. But we do like Clemson on that big line, 45.5. Next game is this would be a local game in the DFW area, SMU at North Texas. So kind of a local game. I'm sure a lot of the players know each other. Some of them will. Really 2 quality schools, football programs this year. SMU didn't look quite as good as I thought they would in their first game, but they did win. That was against Texas State. Of course, Texas State, we're finding out, it's actually football-wise is much better program than they've been in the past. So, so I think that factored in, but you look at the 2 quarterbacks, Buechele with SMU. I would say Buechele is definitely more of your prototypical type.
He's like a 5th-year senior,
right? And he's very good. Jason Bean with North Texas is also very good, maybe in a little bit different way. He's also more of a runner, more of an athlete type player. But I mean, Jason Bean had 4 touchdowns against Houston Baptist.
And both of these teams
one running, 3 passing. I just think North Texas getting 2 touchdowns at the house. I think they're going to cover that.
Yeah, I mean, I think North Texas showed enough. Really, they've only played 1 game, I believe, against Houston Baptist.
Yeah.
And again, that's the team that really took Texas Tech down to the wire.
And they beat them pretty good, Drew. It was like 53 to 35, maybe.
That. So I mean, I'm not trying to suggest that Houston Baptist is
I think SMU is
team.
probably going to win the game, but I really think it's going to be close. Probably pretty high scoring, like 35-33 or something like that. But I do think North Texas will cover that. I like the 2 touchdowns at the house.
Me too.
And we wrap it up with the UCF at Georgia Tech. This is an interesting game. UCF is expected to have a really good football team again this year. But they haven't played a game yet. I think that plays against them a little bit. Georgia Tech really surprised us. We're sitting there watching them against Florida State last week, and we're sitting there in the first half thinking, well, looks like Florida State's back, and because their defense was playing dominating, they weren't.
They went up pretty early, 10-0.
Yeah, 10-0, and they were getting interceptions, but they ended up not cashing.
They were blocking kicks because I think Georgia Tech had 2 field goals blocked and then an extra point blocked.
Yeah, but they weren't cashing in on all these turnovers, and it ended up biting them at the end. And Georgia Tech came back and won the game.
It was like 16-13.
So that was actually one of the upsets.
Which that's a signature win for a program like Georgia
I think so,
Tech.
definitely.
I mean, considering how bad they were last year, and they got Jeff Collins, who's in his 2nd season, and he's had to completely redo the offense from the triple option. And they're actually, they had a freshman quarterback in there who, by the way, was committed to Florida State. And in the first game of the season.
That's kind of ironic, wasn't it?
Right. So I honestly think Georgia Tech is in a better spot now than they've been in probably 5 or so years.
We like Georgia Tech getting the 7.5 points at
against
home.
A rusty
In fact,
UCF.
I wouldn't doubt it if they end up winning the game.
I
wouldn't be surprised at all. But
UCF's got to go on the road and this is their first game of the season.
And their first game.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we hope they turn out good. We were 3-5.
Oh, 3-2.
3 out of 5. We were 3-2 last week with a winning record. We hope to continue this week even better than that.
We hope to be better.
Anyways, we'll be talking to you next week.
Thanks, guys.